Today, maybe the real Borderlands movie was the friends we made along the way. Coming up.
I really want to note, because I saw a bunch of comments that was like, why would you send, like, that we were punishing Cameron?
Oh.
He volunteered.
Yeah.
In fact, it was the first thing he did. He was like, can I go see the movie and write a review?
Yeah, that was not us making him do
We
that.
make him do nothing.
It's kind of nice that that in that respect that he was like, that rather than write a story like a video game story thing, the story right now is how bad this movie is being reviewed. So why not go see the movie and actually give you my... And I'm like, that's really good, because that's way outside of what we would normally do.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. And people are like, oh, get Cameron to do... No, we're not getting Cameron to do movie reviews from now. He's not going to review like the next, whatever.
Well, I mean, that's up to him. And I mean, video games don't come along like every week,
it's
right?
Got to be ChillPoint
That's not
related.
going to be like all the time.
Exactly. If it happened all the time, then it wouldn't be special.
Mm-hmm.
But,
You can't have everything you want all the time, chat, because then it wouldn't be special anymore.
Yeah.
Just why we don't do certain things. Yeah,
But-
let's go with that reason.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
We're doing it for your benefit.
we're doing it for your sake.
because we love you and we want you
I
to be
didn't
safe.
say that. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say that. No. Only Beach loves you.
but, I mean, if you want to hear more of Cameron and also Corey talking about the more sort of in-depth analyses of things, Talking Simulator might be your speed.
Absolutely.
Stream we do on Tuesdays. Anyway, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to ChillPoint, the show where we talk about all the video game news of the week that we choose to talk about.
There's not a lot this week.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I looked at that documentary. It was pretty bare.
For how little the document kind of like reflected what's going. I mean, because we lost a great source of news, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But also I'm like, I came at like a running jump into what you come up with, because I was like, oh, I'll do a story on X, and then when I was done, I'm like, what am I going to do next? Oh, there's a Sonic story. Maybe there's something here. Oh yeah, there's something here. It kind of flew along.
No,
for
I'm
me.
not saying there weren't stories.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I've opened this document before and seen like many stories, and I went to check it today, and I was like, oh, nothing happened, and I closed it.
Great.
Sometimes the stories inspire, and sometimes not. But then sometimes, the quality of the stories in terms of potential for checkpointness also varies a lot depending on what's going on. I did actually want to mention, you brought up the sadly defunct Game Informer. Which was definitely a good source for checkpoint stuff. I wanted to mention that I do find that I've got Kotaku and Polygon and
Ars
Technica, and a few other places, but if there are some sources for video game related news, especially if something that's maybe something stuff that's like a little different, that isn't just the same stories that everybody else is doing, please let me know. Send me an email or on Discord, or obviously not on Twitter or whatever, but you can drop me an email, Paul Loading Ready Run, or on Discord or anything, because I'm always interested to have more sources in my feeds. The problem with this is a lot of places like
Hard Drive.
Well, even like Polygon.
Yeah.
I mean, Hard Drive is actually like a comedy site.
Exactly.
It's not that
yeah.
useful.
It's a little, yeah.
We're in direct competition.
Yeah. One of the problem is that there's a lot of places like Polygon does this to a certain extent, where it's like there's a lot of places that are video game news places, but they're also just like
They're
Pop
more
culture.
geek culture.
Yeah, media news almost.
And so, like, I don't really care unless it's something like Borderlands that has a connection. I don't really care about like all the DC movie, all the Marvel movies that are coming out and stuff for the purposes of Checkpoint. It usually doesn't cross over that much.
And conversely, like I use Nintendo Life as a place to go get a lot of like really interesting write-up stuff that maybe doesn't cross your thing, and then you learned that is like, oh, well, you should just tell me about that site. You add it to your list and you use it to look up things. But there is a site called Nintendo Everything, which would be a bad choice because it is everything. It's every press release. It's everything. Oh. And it's absolutely.
It's pretty good in the sense of like it does drop like all the press release stuff, but it's not
if you want
generally
to know every
like
little
opinion
bit,
pieces or anything like that.
If you want to know every little bit of something that's going on related to like people making games for Nintendo systems, that's a great place to go. But if you want to find out about like you want to cull some of that information, be like, I want to know about the weird rumor or the random piece of somebody doing something stupid. It shows up there, but you got to wade through dozens of articles to find it.
I mean,
the noise, the noise to content ratio is a tricky one.
Nintendo Everything does generally not post rumors unless they've been a bit more substantiated. They put off posting that kind of thing because otherwise they would just be posting every little thing.
I wish there was a Xbox and PlayStation version of Nintendo Life, because they actually do.
Well,
I don't. As far as I could tell, there didn't seem to be like a masthead version. Like there wasn't like a.
There's something called Push Square, which is a sister site to theirs, and it's
Okay.
for PlayStation News.
It's their PlayStation
I
site.
don't know if they have an Xbox One or not.
I might check that out.
Yeah, they might. So,
but anyway, and is that Irazel 64? I don't know if the Lirazel 64 has actually sent me a couple of articles they're subscribed to like a financial newsletter, but because the video game industry makes a lot of money, it does intersect sometimes, and they forwarded on stories to me that have turned out to be quite interesting. So that's the other thing. If you happen to, even if it's not like a source, if you just see a story, always interested. If you want that, send that on to me. It's always interesting to see what's going on. Especially if it's something that you think I probably wouldn't have seen. If it's like this game is coming out, I probably will have seen that one.
But if you've seen a thing that's like there's a niche.
Some
issue
weird niche,
in a video game community that they're talking about this thing, and it's.
I've talked about sometimes that I've sourced stories from like hobby drama subreddit, which I always find very entertaining. It's like RuneScape had a weird thing happen, or these certain things that don't reach the height of getting posted to any news site, but are important within their communities.
I would also say that. This is a controversial thing to say, so I apologize, but you can set me straight.
How brave!
Checkpoint isn't here to grind anybody else's gears for them. Like, we're trying to do video game news, but like in a comedy sense, like to point out the foibles of the industry and to say like, here's some bad actors and we're going to make fun of them, that kind of thing. Or a little bit of righteous indignation goes down real easy with it too. But it's like if you write us with a story to be like, there's a thing going on in here and it really makes me frustrated and upset. It's like, I don't know how appropriate it is one way or the other to cover stories like that. If there is kind of like, here's the ludicrous side of what's going on in that, it's like, oh, that helps too, right?
It's
hard to figure that out. And
that actually brings up the point that just to manage expectations, a lot of stories come in. I choose a certain ones that I think might have some potential for Checkpoint. And then obviously the people who are actually writing the stories or reading the stories write them that is entirely based on what we think has potential for jokes and for if we have, a particular take on it.
And
That is
who
not
has interest in it, right?
Yeah, an interest, personal interest is
Yeah.
often big. But that is in no way a evaluation of whether it's an important or a valuable news story, or whether that is something that, there's a lot of very important things that happen in the world that we don't cover on Checkpoint, even sometimes video game related, because there's nothing more for us to say about it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
and that's the thing. Like, I've seen people, sometimes they'll show up at a checkpoint and they'll be like, oh, I'm surprised you didn't cover this thing. And maybe we didn't hear about that thing, or maybe we just chose not to cover it because there were things we thought were more interesting. Like,
Yeah.
We have kind of a time span. Checkpoint's not about covering all the news.
Yeah.
Also, we don't cover magic on Checkpoint. Stop asking.
Yeah.
Go complain to the Tap Concede people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a few occasions where, the digital magic client has come up in
Yep.
stories, but usually it doesn't too much. Anyway, let's talk about the episode of Checkpoint that went up yesterday, where it started with
A movie review.
Little thing about
No, that was what we ended the episode.
No.
yeah.
I
Well,
started
it's
with
a little
movie
bit-
news.
Little thing about Alien Romulus.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I keep
Which-
forgetting that story happened.
Which I loved this idea that, and I haven't seen the movie.
And this will be spoilers if you are
Yes.
trying to stay spoiler free.
None of us have seen the movie,
Yeah.
but I guess this could be a spoiler. So the director revealed that they put, apparently right before scary scenes happen in the movie, you will see a phone somewhere in the scene.
Yeah.
Or there'll be a phone he wanted to, and that came from him playing Alien Isolation back in 2014. And he is saying that, for one thing, Alien Isolation really showed him that the alien can still be scary.
Yeah.
In this age of whatever first-person shooters and special effects and all that stuff. That if you tell the right kind of story, the alien can still be a very scary monster. But also he had that thing of which I've definitely experienced myself in games where, when you see the phone, which in Alien Isolation is a save point. When you see the save point, you're like, yay, but also, oh no.
Well, yeah, because that's a game design thing, right? You put a save point right before like a big boss fight or a thing where you might have to try something over and over again. So because I haven't played these games, I'm like, yeah. So the idea that you put it right before the big scary thing's about to happen,
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Also, we're all terrified of making phone calls, right?
But
Well, except Beach. I know he makes those all the time.
But it is funny how though then that creates its own Pavlovian response. It's like whenever you see these things, even if you're not about to, like what if you pass an emergency phone in Alien Isolation, but nothing scary happens, right?
Right.
Because and it's like so you'll see it and you'll be like, oh no, and you're all primed and you're all tense for that to happen. It's like right, but if the scary thing didn't happen, it still achieved its effect because it made you get all tense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the first thing I check for in a scary game? I know I don't play a lot of them, but the first thing I check for is if there's a run button or not. Because if there's no run button, you can't really run away from monsters. It's a different kind of
game, yeah.
Different kind- yeah.
Which means you can maybe you need to hide, maybe you need to do whatever, but running is not going to be an option ever.
I always think about especially often more sort of action oriented games, there is that you're really low on ammo and you're going through an area and then you find some ammo and you're like, oh, this is such a relief.
Oh no.
And then you find some more ammo and you're like, oh, that's good.
Is it often
then-
like a trail into a section?
And then once you find it, it's like, wait, they're giving me too much ammo now.
No, there's a
I
med
don't-
pack.
Oh no, there's a med pack. Yeah. Oh no. It's like, please stop giving me ammo.
Yeah. Whereas like in I was in Mario 3D World, which I was just playing recently, is that all the major boss fights are it's pageantry, right? Like when you're gonna have a boss fight, it's like you're going into the castle, you know, there's gonna be a boss at the end of it kind of idea. But when it's like time to do it, you jump on a big like slide with like stars and flowers and sparkly shit, and you slide down into the arena, and the arena's right there, and everything's like waiting for you, kind of thing. And it's like there's nothing scary about it. It's just like there's this whole thing of like we're prepping you for the idea that's like, look, it's a great big thing you're doing. You know, isn't this exciting? You know, like it's a circus. You know.
I mean, and you know, especially anybody who's played a lot of video games, you know, of certain types of video games, you do definitely get that sixth sense of like you walk into an area and you're like, this looks like this is an arena.
This room's really big for something reason, and there's like nothing in it.
Yeah.
If I go all the way to the other side, nothing happened. I guess I should leave. Oh, the door closed.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening, and then you get just as far as like the center, and you're like, oh.
I mean, one of my favorite things to do is be like, oh look, a save point. Nothing ever bad happens near a save point.
Yeah.
And the bad guy, the big boss guy is like, why did I get that save point installed right there?
Well, I feel like because in Hollow Knight they're benches, so I feel like for someone else they were like, I might want to sit down.
Yeah. It's just
while I
good to
wait,
have.
you know.
Anyway, so that's kind of a fun thing. I don't know how. I don't know. Is Romulus actually out yet? I don't know, but I hope it. I hope it does well.
Must be soon. Yeah.
The Alien movies are super cool, and I wasn't really into the Prometheus and whatever the other one was. Prometheus and
I didn't know there was another one.
There were like two that were sort of direct sequels to each other.
Okay.
That was a couple of years ago.
Okay.
That I Covenant. That's it. Alien Covenant. That I was not a fan of that kind of direction.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know Borderlands was actually out in theaters or was making a movie. So yeah, I'm very, very up on what's happening in the theater section of the world. Just don't go out anymore.
Good news, but actually good news. Tango Gameworks got picked up by what's it named? Crafton Games Union.
Oh, great! Yeah.
Which is very confusing when you're googling them. That is the official. That is the name
That's
of
the full name.
That's the name of the parent company that owns like Crafton and Bluehole. And a bunch of other, and
it's like Audi,
PUBG, whatever. But it's just the fact, and it's like, it is a union of game companies. I guess that makes sense. But the term games union, it has other connotations that I was like, oh, really? They have a union? That's nice.
No.
I didn't know there was because I've only known like we talk about Crafton all the time, so it was like, oh, it's Crafton. And then when you said Crafton Games Union, like, oh, they have a bigger name I didn't know about. Oh no, they just have it. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
why don't you just call it New Crafton?
So Crafton acquired them, but they were already all getting fired. So
studios were getting shut down.
Right. The studio was getting shut down. Has already been shut down. Like it's like this is an IP acquisition, but it's not we bought Hi-Fi Rush. It's we bought Tango Gameworks, which comes with Hi-Fi Rush and all the other things along with it. What about the employees?
I think, I'm presuming the only thing that I can from the story that I was reading about it, it seems like the actual shutting down of the thing hasn't gone through yet.
Okay.
All right.
I guess there's a process.
Yeah, because the last thing I saw was when this news broke, which said that the employees would be welcomed, which is not the same thing as like we're hiring them, but I haven't read the update.
I mean, also, if you knew that your studio is getting shut down, your resume is in the mail. Like you're shopping yourself to headhunters. You're doing everything you need to get picked up to go somewhere else. So,
and I guess when they said, I guess they were that they were like, hey, why don't instead of shutting it down, why don't we just buy it? I guess.
Yeah, and Tango Gameworks, from what I understand, some of the people, like the people who made Hi-Fi Rush, aren't necessarily the people who made the other games. Some of them had left before Hi-Fi Rush came out.
Right.
So
there's
depending on like who you're like aiming for or hoping for with your different franchises.
And so it's good news in the sense that like we're probably going to see more Hi-Fi Rush because that did very well. And I guess it's a reason to be cautiously optimistic because it's like not everyone has most likely moved on from the company since the announcement of its dissolution. And so therefore a good chance that most of the team will be around to make a second one again. So you're hoping lightning will strike twice.
Yeah.
I think that's the hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, whether, obviously, who knows what form it will take, and, the types of games that Krafton makes might not be the type that they want to make and blah, blah, blah. But we shall see. In the meantime, people have jobs who didn't before, so that's good.
Account Made for Ants points out that Krafton apparently also owns Unknown Worlds, which would include Subnautica.
Oh.
So I could go for another one of those.
Well, I thought they were working on a Subnautica 3.
They are. Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, I think they were working on Subnautica 2 because
Below
Zero was not an
Zero's-
official sequel.
Okay. Sure.
Same
The
universe.
third game
another
of Subnautica.
Yeah.
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 I just
But
want to swim
that's-
around and not get eaten by giant fish.
I don't think that
Yeah.
game is going to.
Unfortunately,
for
it's
you.
going to be a long time.
You should just play Abzu.
It's true.
Okay.
Abzu, you will not get eaten by fish.
That's good. I like that.
You just get to swim around. That's it. It's just the swimming
Just
around.
swing around.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just, yeah. It is the swimming equivalent of a walking simulator.
Oh, but I liked having a gun that I could use to build rooms.
This is the problem. Beach wants to have like the whole crafting mechanic, survival, whatever, but without the actual survival part of it.
I want the survival turned down a little bit to be a bit easier. Like I've been playing Sakuna of Rice and Ruin because we were watching the anime, and I just had this itch that I'm like, I need to see what the game is like now.
Yeah.
And I've been like, this is pretty good. Yes, I need to grow a field of rice, and the more work I put into growing my field of rice, the more my skills develop to make it easier for me to grow the field of rice.
Right.
So you want to do all the work yourself. And like last night I planted 400 seedlings, and that sounds like an absolute pain in the ass. And in a way it kind of was, but also then upon starting to plant, the game was like, oh, but now you can plant twice as fast. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And so it felt a little bit better.
I mean, the last game I remember you playing that involved like kind of the water thing and the survival thing that you seemed to like was Lost in Blue.
Oh, I love Lost in Blue.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, the later games don't quite have the same feel, but
Yeah.
but Subnautica and Below Zero were both excellent experiences.
Yeah.
I like that kind of thing. I would do it again.
Anyway.
Second story.
Sonic!
Third story.
Yeah.
It's his 30th anniversary.
I'm glad to see people still
Forever.
asking how long it's been going on for. So they think it's unusual. Like, does Beach know? And it's like,
Oh, I think it's funny when somebody genuinely wonders. Like, I think I saw somebody complaining that that Sonic has been shouting out the 30th anniversary so hard, and it's like they haven't.
They haven't?
Only we have. Also, I believe the logo you showed off
yeah,
was the fan logo again.
yeah.
Because I saw somebody complaining that the Sonic 30th anniversary logo looked too much like the Doctor Who logo, and how dare the Sonic team or Sega be doing that? And I'm like, that's not.
Anything
not
we
there.
do,
They didn't do that.
We the Sonic team is not responsible for anything that we do or say during Sonic related.
We could go back to the old logo I was using, which was Sonic with his foot up with a big 30 on the bottom.
No, I
bet
like
we
the
could do
new.
that.
I like this one.
the new one too. Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we need like a warning at the beginning of the show. It's like, hello, are you new?
Yeah.
This is a comedy show.
Anything Beej says cannot be.
We have
Believe.
a thing for that.
I mean,
yes.
I even put I have a thing that I put up occasionally when he's saying something particularly egregious.
Chat
Yeah.
made it a sticker in the Discord.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
One of
good.
the mods did.
But anyway, so this was kind of a weird story. I mean, you sort of got around the confusingness of it, but the way, because it's sort of couched, at least the story I wrote, sort of, or the story I read about it was saying how it's like, this is actually a pretty good way of doing this.
It's a great idea. It
So-
absolutely is. I'm with you.
The idea here is they're delisting Sonic Generations from Steam and Xbox Game Store
And probably everywhere else they can.
in favor of the new Sonic X Shadow Generations, which contains remastered versions of the Sonic Generations levels. So it was like, why do we have the other one?
They're delisting the other one because people would probably be able to get it for cheaper, and they want people to buy the new one.
Right.
There's that, yeah.
Well, they've done this before,
but-
with other games.
It's kind of nice that, but they've done it in such a way where, one, if you own Sonic Generations, you can still download it. That mods will continue to and basically they did everything they could to make it so that it will still work for everybody who had it.
Yeah.
And that apparently it will also, this part is a little weird in that it will also could possibly be part of compilation packs in the future,
Yeah.
which seems odd to me, but anyway.
I think that's I think it's unusual too, because like if the remaster comes along and it is a good remaster, like it's faithful to the point where like nothing has changed except the graphics are crisper and clearer or whatever, right?
Sure.
And I'm like, if the physics and the gameplay and everything about it is exactly the same and all that's happened is just everything's 4K now or whatever, there's no reason to choose the old one except for aesthetic, obviously. And so, yeah, the idea of like, well, we'll let you buy it as part of a bundle. We'll have a thing in the future where will be part of a bundle. And then at some point, it might come out of the bundle and Sonic X Shadow Generations will go into that bundle instead anyway. And then something else will come along. And like, the thing I like the most on a store is when you go to buy something that's in a bundle and it's on its own and you buy it, or you buy the 3 of the 5 things that are in the bundle and you're like, you know what, I like these 3 things, I want to buy the other 5. So you go to the bundle and it's like, oh yeah, we'll give you the last 2 for the portion of what you would have paid.
Right, you don't have to rebuy the stuff.
That's my favorite thing to do. And I don't know if that's what's going to happen here or not. I don't know how Steam and Xbox Game Store works, but I like that idea of like, well, we're going to delist it, but we'll make it a part of a bundle, but also it's only delisted for sale, which means you can still download it if you still want to have access to it.
That depends on how they intend to do it as a bundle.
Sure.
So when you say bundle on Steam, Steam will have bundles as in separate games that you can purchase together,
or a game and all its
you're
DLC.
still buying thing.
Yeah.
However, Sonic games also sell games sometimes in essentially packs where it's like Sonic 1 through 3, where it's technically all in the same piece of software, but that could be considered a bundle. Right?
Yeah.
So
it does depend. Exactly.
And I mean, as Gizmoloid in the chat says, not stealing the game from their customers isn't that high a bar.
Yeah.
It's true. And yet, here we are. If you recall, we played the digital version of what's it called? Ticket to Ride.
Oh yeah.
A few weeks ago. We started playing the legacy one, which is different, but we played the digital version of Ticket to Ride about 3 or 4 weeks ago. But before we could play that, we all the players had to rebuy Ticket to Ride. We own Ticket to Ride and we played it on online or like on stream quite a few times.
Yeah, the digital version. Yeah.
But the digital version of Ticket to Ride was, or Ticket to Ride, the digital licensing or whatever, was purchased by somebody else. They released their own new digital version of the digital client that has like some fancier animations and stuff. Whether it is better or not is highly debated, from what I can understand. Thing. The old version got renamed Ticket to Ride Classic. They shut down the matchmaking servers.
Oh, yeah.
So nobody can actually play Ticket to Ride Classic anymore. And they were like, if you had Ticket to Ride Classic and you buy the new Ticket to Ride, we'll give you like the European expansion for free.
All right.
But you still have to buy the new one.
Yep. Which is not what I wanted because I bought the game.
So yeah, it was quite disappointing. and some of the flashy effects are nice. Some of them not so good. Apparently, there's all, and in terms of feature parity, like it at least when it launched didn't have like leaderboards and a bunch of other stuff that the old version had. So it's unfortunate. But anyway, so the fact that somebody, especially a big company like Sega, actually put some thought into it and to deliver a reasonable experience for that, something that we can commend.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's not actually that uncommon for Sega to delist their other Sonic games, especially if their Sonic game exists in a newer thing that costs more money.
Yes.
So I don't really feel like I want to give them that much praise.
All right.
But I will still say
Sega,
Sonic
you're still on
Happy
Heather's
Meal.
list.
Give me more Hatsune Miku, Sega. Put
Hatsune Miku.
Sonic in the Hatsune Miku suit.
Well, they say mods are not affected. So, the Hatsune Miku modded.
I haven't. Yeah,
generation
I
system.
don't really look into mods a lot. Maybe I should.
There's a story that I didn't mark that Hatsune Miku is going to be in that boxing
Yeah, the fitness
game.
boxing game comes
Yeah.
out next month.
Yeah. It's like her own game too, right? It's not she's
It's fitness boxing.
Yeah, but it's not a DLC costume
No,
or
but
character ad.
neither
It's
was-
literally her own
Yeah.
fitness boxing game.
Fist of the North Star was too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not arguing that it wasn't. I'm just saying that she's not being added on to.
Oh,
the
I
game.
thought she was just going to be a character added to the
Oh
existing
no!
fitness
It's
boxing.
her own thing, and I mean, there's some other Vocaloids in there.
Yeah, I'm just mad that
We get I like that it's like we've got the Vocaloids, we've created, we've gone from, pop
Yeah.
stars. Now we've got it's like we've created these entirely digital Vocaloids and given them their own personalities and all these different things and they sing and stuff. And now we can have them fight,
yeah.
Well, I mean, fitness boxing's more about
punch each other.
the fitness portion. She is a DLC character you can get for Crypto the Necrodancer, though, which is really great because she gets her own music, and they made 2 new tracks for that, which are pretty good. And she can't stand still because then she loses she'll lose health if she's just standing still.
And you might think
but-
that that can't be that big a deal. That's a huge deal in
I was going to
Necrodancer.
say, yeah, that's pretty bad.
But she can move diagonally. And she also, when she hits enemies, she goes through like all of them if they're lined up. It's
Yeah.
really good if you can get a handle on it.
I'm actually still mad that I was unable to find a source for the fitness boxing anime that came out a few seasons ago, and that I never got a chance to see that.
I'm curious how that's supposed to work.
Right?
And then our final story that we did was, of course, Cameron's review of Borderlands, which a lot of people, both in the comments here and on YouTube and Discord and so forth, were very complimentary about it. And everyone at the interview and the fact that it was basically a sneaky backdoor retrospective of why you should go
Watch Fury Road?
Fury Road, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm one of the people that was cautiously optimistic about the Borderlands movie. I have a soft spot in my heart for Borderlands
So
from when I played it.
Still gonna see the movie at some point then?
I probably won't see it in theaters, but if
it's
if
fair.
it shows up on streaming, I might check it out. If it's on Netflix or something.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I have a soft spot for Borderlands. It looked kind of cool, got some good actors. I was like, hey, this could be good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the reviews and everything started coming out. And there's like, well, obviously, this is the kind of, reviewers don't, they don't really understand some of these kind of movies. And then there is a thing where like often sort of genre movies and stuff don't get the sort of whatever professional movie reviewers don't have the same connection to it as like fans of whatever.
Absolutely.
And sort of thing. But the difference is it's not zero.
Yeah.
And I don't think the fan reviews are doing well either.
Yeah.
it's just so it's unfortunate that it's like I don't know. And I mean, Cameron had said that it's just like it's not the worst thing ever. It's just boring, and it's just like it always makes me so sad because, of course, how hard it is to make a movie.
Yeah.
There's so much work involved. There's millions of dollars. I think there's,
Hundreds of staff, millions of dollars.
60, $70 million.
I heard it was 100.
$100 million.
Yeah.
Months of people's time.
Yeah.
Incredibly talented set designers and actors and everything.
CG artists.
Doing all this stuff for something that is not even bad. It's just boring. It's just so, like, demoralizing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like...
What was it?
And it's like
Cameron said he started thinking about the movie while he was watching it because it was like he didn't have anything else to do in the moment.
When if you're inspired,
not that like
if you're inspired to basically step outside of the actual when you should be suspending your disbelief to watch a movie, but if you're actually being inspired to be like, I need to actually start thinking about what I'm looking at, then I think that the movie has lost your attention.
I think especially on a first viewing.
I would think so too. Yeah.
There's always that thing of like, of the $100 million budget, how much would it cost? Like, how much are they putting towards, the script?
Yeah. How much are they putting versus how much they put towards talent versus how much they put towards
and it's like,
CG.
And it's like, maybe it seems like that, pays out as a, amount of money you spent versus amount of money the film makes has got to be like the biggest percentage.
You'd have to assume because the script is what the movie's going to ride on the whole time, right? How
Right.
good is the
So
is
it's
the
like,
writing
let's
of
spend
it?
twice as much money on the script.
Right.
But maybe can you spend $1 million on a script? I don't even know. I mean, that's Let's obviously.
I mean,
obviously it doesn't. The calculation is not exactly like that.
Yeah.
you can. I'm sure whoever wrote the script would take $1 million if you just gave them $1 million.
Of course, the other side of that is that if you go to a movie and you see that there's like 10 people credited for the script,
Yes.
that's never a good sign either. So,
it's funny too, right? Because I have an inbuilt bias that when I see because I didn't know who was in this movie, I didn't really care, but when Cameron started dropping names of people who were involved with it, and I was like, I recognize that. I'm kind of like, oh, is this a DreamWorks picture problem again? Is this a thing of we
stunt casting?
Yeah, we stunt cast 15 people to be in this movie because we knew that having all these big names and that's what we're riding on is star power to bring people to the theater to watch it. Because I'm like, because that can go either way, obviously. Because Lord of the Rings had that kind of thing going on, where it's like, oh, all these recognizable people are in this movie, but it was a good movie.
it was interesting though.
Yeah,
Well, but the casting was interesting. Like Cate Blanchett and Jamie Lee Curtis are not people
who are in films like this.
They don't particularly they don't look necessarily like the characters or like the video game characters.
Right.
Obviously they did them up wonderfully with costumes and everything, but they're not like it's like, oh, that person obviously has to be that thing.
Right.
And so they were like, when people saw it, people were like, oh, hey, that's a cool choice.
Yeah.
Like, that's an interesting choice for that. It wasn't like, well, obviously that person has to be in this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Anyway. Let's talk about, you're right, the outro. Baldur's Gate won the Hugo Award for Best Interactive Work at Worldcon. Now, okay. Last week...
Yeah, I got confused when I was editing this initially.
So last week, and I think they talked about it in the after show.
Actually, I'm not sure. Well, last week
He
you
did.
mentioned the after show.
In
There was
last
a
week's
story-
after show,
there
you
was a
did
story-
talk about the story.
We had 2 outros last week, or 2 coming up, potential coming up. One of them was that the thing with Nintendo hiring somebody locally. Yeah. And the other one was that Larion released a bunch of information, a bunch of stats, and whatever 1,000 people
194,000
had
people
had
sex with Halson as a bear.
had romanced them specifically as a bear.
Yes.
And so I had that video of the bear romance locked and loaded for the previous week. Then we decided to go with the Nintendo one instead. And so I was like, ooh, can I use this? I have it already.
It's kind of
see,
perfect.
that's the thing. I knew there'd been the alternate, and then when I went to go edit, I was like, did they forget to change out the video? Is this supposed to be the right video? I mean, I guess they are still talking about Baldur's Gate.
The bear, and they're going together, and then cutting away to the squirrel holding his, be like,
The nut drop is so good and runs. And I know that we obviously, because we have to put in a cut, you can't just let the video play forever and ever and ever, obviously,
Right.
at the end of ChillPoint.
It kills the
Momentum of
kills the flow of the show. But don't worry, I put it in the after show.
yeah.
Yeah, so if you were like, oh, I want the nut drop, it's like it is there if you go back and watch it. But
This is why you should watch the after show. I also put in the outtakes
Yeah.
sometimes when they're there.
I definitely also like for the coming up saying that it's like the punchline is that there's 30,000 fics that are tagged Baldur's Gate 3 on AO3, and I'm like,
There was some dispute over that.
yeah.
That
There's
in-
19,400 that are just Asterion tagged.
Well,
Apparently.
in the YouTube comments, there was someone took issue with it, saying like, "Well, actually, that's Baldur's Gate,
oh,
not necessarily Baldur's Gate 3."
I see.
And then Graham replied to them actually, because he's the one who wrote this, and he was like, "No, I searched. I made sure that the search was just like." So I don't know how AO3 works in terms of how its search system happens, but Graham did his research on this, so hopefully that is correct.
And let's be honest, the bulk of the things that you find on AO3 can also be termed interactive fiction.
I mean, there is an interesting best interactive work Hugo Award.
Yeah.
There is that interesting thing where one could argue that a lot of the stories that occur in Baldur's Gate are actually not the written I mean, there's obviously pages in book. There's probably several books worth of text written for the game, but a lot of these sort of stories that take place within the thing are sort of how the player interacts with the thing, kind of generating their own
The emergent
world.
story.
The emergent story.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a neat idea in terms of. I'd be curious to see how they, what their criteria are looking at. Whether they're looking at just the script of the game, as if it was a book, or whether they're looking more things.
I guess technically you could just look at a script of a game, but the whole point of the video game portion, that's like just reading the script of a movie.
Well, there's the classic text adventure idea of being interactive fiction, right? Like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was like one of the more the video game, the Infocom video game is referred to as a piece of interactive fiction because you're playing the story as written, but also you're not playing the story as written because there's a lot of other things going on in it that you get a chance to interact with.
Yes,
yeah.
But reading a script versus playing a game is two different experiences.
Absolutely.
It's like reading a book versus listening to an audiobook can be two different experiences. They're both, like, all these things can be valid, but I feel like if you're trying to judge the story of a video game and you're not even looking at how the acting that goes on into that story, you're like losing an entire dimension.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, but anyway. Let's talk about some stories that didn't make it into the episode.
There's like 3.
Well,
maybe
there's
there's
a few
more.
more.
I don't know. I just said a number.
I saw a couple. I added a couple from this morning. So we'll
Paul's
see.
been
Sneaky.
sneaking in stories,
Nice.
trying to make the story file a little longer.
In the Duke Nukem Forever category.
So yeah, have you been patiently waiting for Red Dead Redemption on your PC?
Isn't it on? It's not on PC?
Yeah, I always thought
It
was
is not.
Yes, I've been patiently waiting for Red Dead Redemption for my PC.
Red Dead Redemption 2 has been on PC.
Oh, okay.
Okay. What?
But
Why'd they let 2 go ahead first?
for whatever reason, yeah. So here we go.
Also, you can also write Red Dead Redemption 2 as RDRR.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So basically, Red Dead Redemption is Rockstar game, and so it was originally a PlayStation. I believe it was originally a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So there was never an idea that we will bring this to PC at some point. It's meant to be on PlayStation.
Well, PlayStation brings a lot of games out onto PC though.
Yeah, eventually. You do see. I mean, it's not like PlayStation brings them out, do they? Like it's more like the studio that makes a game eventually is like
a lot of these studios are owned by PlayStation. Like Spider-Man and stuff will make it to PC eventually, or whatever,
yeah,
that kind of
well,
thing.
and it's especially more recently.
Yeah, I guess that is more recent.
Sony has pulled back on Sony used to be very anti cross-platform stuff, and they pulled it back a little bit. They're still not like
okay. I was gonna say I didn't.
They're still
I didn't
not
think that
like
we were like in love with it.
super
still.
excited about cross-platform things, but they've relented a little bit in their they used to not allow anything cross-platform, but now Horizon is on there, a few things, God of War, yeah. And so 5 years ago, Red Dead Redemption 2 actually made its way to PC.
Okay.
And now, so what I love about this is how it was sort of revealed. So, and then Red Dead Redemption 1 has also had a remake again for PS4 in 2003.
But there was never
2023, I should say.
But there was never an announcement saying we will be bringing this to PC from 10 years ago or something ridiculous like that. It was just like, okay.
They were, yeah. So, but when Red Dead Redemption 1 remake, which came out in 2003 or 2023,
yeah,
has had its store page updated so that its store page says now available for PC for the first time ever. Also,
Huh.
now that's been taken off.
Oh,
apparently
good.
that was added.
Oh, somebody got ahead.
Somebody got ahead of themselves and added it, and then they removed it.
Okay. Whoops.
Yeah, so because it's this, because they changed it. They changed the thing to being featuring complete single player experience of both games, Red Dead Redemption and Undead Nightmare, including bonus content from the Game of the Year edition. Red Dead Redemption features all of the 2023 console version upgrades plus PC specific enhancements, including support for increased resolutions displayed. And people are like, wait, PC specific enhancements?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Huh. And so this was put on the store, I'm guessing a few days ago.
Yeah.
The game itself hasn't come out.
No.
But it was this leak that happened on the store that's making everyone like, oh, it's going to arrive soon.
Right.
Or it's going to arrive at some point.
Which means they probably wrote that before the whatever marketing they were supposed to do for it is, or if there's a show that's supposed to be coming up.
Or if it's supposed to get an ESRB or something, maybe. Who knows?
Usually the ESRB stuff leaks earlier.
That's a good point.
Anyway, I just thought that was funny that it got leaked through marketing for a different game.
Yeah.
So what Paul is saying is Red Dead Redemption 1 remake, is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Is not currently on PC, so if you're waiting, you're still waiting.
Yeah.
But now you have some extra hope to hang on to.
I liked that the headline was the 5,200 plus day wait is almost over.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we actually don't know that, but just that it's like, have people really been waiting 5,200 and some days to be like, boy, yeah, now it's gonna be here any day now?
It's like considering the power of, I believe PS3 is what Red Dead Redemption originally came out on. You could very nicely emulate Red Dead Redemption 1 now on a PC, I'm sure.
Right, yeah. It's a good
If you,
point.
for some reason, really wanted to play Red Dead Redemption 1 on your PC.
Yeah.
I've seen some dedicated Tumblrs that want to make a post every day to count the number of days since a thing hasn't happened that they're waiting on. I'm sure there's somebody
Excuse me.
who's just going to beat this horse.
Oh, it was in the PlayStation store where they said it was going to be on PC the first time ever.
Yeah.
Somebody copy and pasted the wrong thing. Oh, I see. Okay. I've been trying to like catch up with the aspects of where does this all. Okay, that's cool. Next story.
We talk about that do video game stuff and not so much. We don't necessarily want to talk about just like general geek fan stuff, but sometimes either I like the story or there's some crossover that is interesting. In this case, there's a thing about the Pokemon card game, which there's a digital version of the Pokemon card game, so it sort of connects. But the important thing is that basically people have figured out, or not, people knew this before, but it's been figured out that you could actually do it reasonably inexpensively, or that you can run. People have figured out how to run unopened Pokemon card packs.
Yes.
Through like medical imaging, like CT scanner.
Right.
And the specific you depending on how you do it, certain things that are like the little like special foil stamp that's on the really rare cards shows up on the scanner.
Right.
So you can basically find which of the packs that have the good stuff in it.
So you don't necessarily know what the card is
without opening it.
But you know what the rarity is. You know that the specific special nature of a card. Be like, I can guarantee you that this pack has a special something in it, and I can't tell you what it is, but I know it's a special something because we put it through a medical imager.
Yeah, way back in the day, this was a big problem for Magic. Had a big problem with this, where for one thing they got box mapped, which is like people figured out that the collation in their boxes were not random.
Right.
And so that if it's like you open one pack and you're like, okay, that means 3 over 4 down has the mythic in it.
It's like doing the N square puzzle in Super Mario Brothers 3.
Foils were heavier as well.
Oh my god.
Wow. Whew. Anyway,
guys showing up with a balance and like getting their stuff out.
So the thing in this story is that somebody figured out that you could do this just by sort of messing around. Now there's a company out there called Industrial Inspection and Consulting LLC that is actually offering to do this. That is like will provide a service of scanning your Pokemon card packs.
But why?
Okay, here's why. If you scan your packs and you find the packs that have nothing but junk in them,
right,
but they're unopened,
yes,
you can sell those for more money because they're in a pack and nobody knows what's in them.
Correct. Yeah.
But if you opened it, it was just junk. I'm just saying that this is a great way to scam people.
If you're somebody who, if you buy a pallet full of boxes and you send it off to IIC LLC. What a great name. And they scan everything and like, okay, we've put a paper dot on everything that has value. You're like, great. And you rip those open and you sell your shit for value, and then everything that's unopened, you're like, great, I'm going to take these, I'm going to sell individual packs for a standard pack price that nobody knows that I've had them scanned. So they think that they might get a foil, but I know they're not going to get a foil.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again,
thank you.
The context that I know is in Magic, there's certain generations of Magic cards that it's known to like never buy like unopened or never buy like opened booster boxes on like eBay or whatever,
Because they've been fished for stuff.
because you know
Yeah.
you will never get the good cards because they've been box mapped and all the
Right.
good stuff has already been taken.
I think, isn't there like certain packs that have more value because they're sealed, because they might have a thing, but the chances of that thing being in there are super low?
Oh yeah, a lot. Most of the early Magic sets are worth far more sealed than they are
Yeah.
open. You know, like revised edition can have extremely valuable cards in it. It has dual lands. It has stuff. It also because of how the pack collation is, it can have like 5 lands in your pack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like they didn't do you can have more lands than like you don't just have one land in the pack.
I feel like back in the day when it was all coming out, that you were just like, it's completely random, and that kind of feeling of you get 5 lands in a pack and you're kind of like, oh, this sucks, but I'll just go buy another thing, and then I have lands to put in my whatever. And it's all from the beginning when none of this stuff had value, or relatively little things had value,
Well,
like
money
right
value,
off the bat,
right?
right? And then it's like, once people are like, we call these the Power 9. It's like,
Yeah.
that didn't happen the first day when everyone opened Magic. But now that Magic's long in the tooth, it's like, we have names for all this shit, and we know how it all works, and everything's all computed to the last nth degree so that everything is distributed as equally as possibly as we can think to make it, and that it's not going to be, you can't just be like, well, we know there's a mythic and a half in every pack kind of idea. It's like, okay, well,
My favorite is
or every box.
for Magic. My favorite is in the Arabian Nights set, which has a lot of quite valuable cards. For whatever reason, the rare sheet had a mountain on it, just
Right.
to like fill up a spot, I guess.
Yep.
So if you are very unlucky, there is basically the most valuable mountain in Magic, which is the Arabian Nights mountain that occupies the rare slot in
Right.
the pack. And it's really, I mean, if people
The
are
only way
trying
to
to
prove it-
if people are trying to collect that card,
Yeah.
it could be valuable, but
The only way to prove that, though, is to be like, I have a pack here that when I opened it, it had the mountain in the rare slot, and so that and I have video or whatever proving
But
that.
even then, like-
yeah.
Anyway. Want some sneakers?
Only the purple ones.
They look so cool.
Wow.
I
Oh,
kind of like the
no.
purple ones, really.
Oh no.
I'm pretty sure they're not actually transparent, but still.
No, but I really Game Boy Color Atomic Purple.
These are Bull Airs.
Okay.
Has released a retro-inspired collection heavily referencing Nintendo's classic.
Now those are
concepts.
Nike swoops, so these are proper made by Nike. They have to be, right?
I don't know how the custom sneaker thing works, because this is Bull Airs is the company that released them.
That's so weird.
But yeah, and they've made some other
Captain N's jacket.
made some other ones. Yeah,
I went as Captain N for Halloween when I was a lot younger, because of course I did. Oh no.
Does Captain N still hold up?
No, why would it?
No.
Mega Man looks terrible and has a weird voice.
I'm just asking. I never saw that one.
Yeah.
I saw the Mario show, and I saw parts of the Zelda one.
$350 per pair.
Oh God, no.
Like,
And so I saw somebody say like, "Oh, these would definitely not fit me." Don't worry, you're not supposed to wear these.
yeah.
I mean, I would.
These ain't sneakers for wearing. I don't think.
No, I wear shoes. I don't collect shoes.
The shoe boy ones, I'm like, yeah, I could see myself walking around in those. Kind of. They look goofy as hell, but I
I
just
feel like you need to dress more 80s.
Yeah.
when you wear them.
I should have worn my other shirt that was very vaporwave. It would have fit in
Yeah.
good with the. But it.
They repurposed Nike shoes. Neat.
Yeah, makes sense. But that like, there's something about. It's all the It's the nostalgia of the aesthetic is all it is, right? It's like, oh, I love that, because I was never an Atomic Purple kid, right? Because that was not my era. And you have an Atomic Purple Game Boy Color.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the best color.
right. And so I'm like, there is there is that. Okay, just a side thing. I was watching a dude doing a mod to an N64. It's a $50 HDMI mod you can do, and all the other ones are $300. This is a more budget version. Seems to work very well, but it's very involved. And he's like, yeah, so I had to Dremel this jungle green N64. And before you get on me about that, he says, this is a replacement shell. And he showed off that you can buy replacement shells in the transparent colors. And I was like, we have 2 N64s at home. I should buy an atomic purple shell, and I should mod one of those N64s to fit the atomic purple shell. So we would have a matching N64 to go with the to go with your Game Boy Color. So I was like thinking these things. I'm like, maybe I should do that.
Because I think I also got I'm pretty sure the Game Boy Advance also came in essentially atomic purple as well. They had that see-through.
Well, they had they didn't call it atomic purple, but
it's the same.
That was the idea.
The Nintendo 64 came in a variety of see-through colors at one point that I did not get. I got the original.
See-through plastic electronics is great.
Yeah. Unless you're in jail, then it means that you're in jail.
Okay.
That's the thing, is that if you have anything in jail, it has to be see-through. So they have see-through TVs and stuff.
In jail, people get all the cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, so here's a story that I think this actually came out this morning, and we don't really have the time or and I haven't done the research to go into this. We may actually end up talking about this next week on ChillPoint, because Epic has launched a mobile Epic store on iOS in Europe, because you can do that now in the EU.
Okay.
And that means that they're like, hey, Fortnite's back, but only in Europe at the moment.
Right.
Because, there's the whole thing with
Epic.
Fortnite keeps getting kicked out of the store. So currently the mobile store, the Epic mobile store, has Fortnite, it's called like Rocket League Swipe or something.
Okay.
And
Swipe
Fall
left
Guys.
if you like this car.
So
or is it the other way?
All
Swipe
first-party
right?
stuff. But apparently they're working with their various developers to make more mobile stuff be in their store. But anyway, how this affects the larger sort of iOS market in terms of stuff, we don't know yet. How this EU stuff is going, but we shall see.
And I am interested to see how this shakes out.
Might
Because
take a while.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it every time these things happen, it's like the kind of like, I don't know if this is going to be a good idea or not. I don't know what this is going to lead to. We'll see what happens. And it's like, we will see what happens. And so it might turn out to be like there was never any danger, or it might turn out to be like, oh, everybody who has Epic Games Store on their thing all of a sudden got an update from somewhere that crashed their fucking phones, and now nobody can use their phones for 6 months.
And whether they're going to maintain this EU or whether they're going to take it, just put it everywhere, or what. Anyway,
we don't know, but I am interested to see what happens.
Yeah, sometimes it's like what ends up happening is nothing for a very long time.
Yeah.
Or in the very rare case, maybe both companies will explode and a firework thing will happen. And it'll be really fun and interesting and dangerous.
Or
not. No, usually it's not that. It's not usually the fun one that I want.
No. Speaking of video game stores, online stores to sell video games, Valve is rolling out a new system for the how they display the reviews for Steam games.
Oh, okay.
They are implementing what they're calling a helpfulness system.
Why do I feel like I don't like this already?
So the issue now, they already have a thing where you can there's like a little up and down thumbs.
Right.
Yeah.
Was
thumb up,
this
thumb
review
down.
helpful?
Yeah.
Was it not?
Okay.
So apparently, the problem they've run. So this is not, because they already have lots of like anti-spam,
Review bombing
stuff. This is not that. They're saying there are circumstances where bunches of reviews come in for a game that we don't want to delete, but they're not actually helpful. A lot of them are like, people do like ASCII art.
Right. So this is
in the review thing.
This is a meta review thing.
Or they put memes in
Right.
the review thing.
Right. The
Or
more
whatever.
jokey kind of reviews.
And
okay.
they're like, we don't want to necessarily like delete those reviews, but they're not actually useful for, is this game something I want to buy?
Yeah, this
which
game
is what
killed
the
my-
reviews are supposed to be.
This game killed my dog. 9 out of 10. You know, like it's like I don't understand anything that's going on here, so I'm going to say not helpful. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, user reviews that are identified as being unhelpful for potential customers, such as one-word reviews, reviews comprised of ASCII art, reviews that are primarily playful memes and in-jokes, will be sorted behind the other reviews in the game store. So they'll still be there, and you can unhide them or whatever. But they'll
All right.
primarily. So that doesn't mean players will never see the humorous but unhelpful posts. But hopefully it means they'll see them less frequently when they're trying to learn about a game.
So all of you who spend 3 to 5 hours a day hanging out on Steam to read all the reviews for all the games that are happening, now you have more to do.
I think what they should do is have all the really helpful reviews show up if you haven't bought the game yet. But once you buy the game, all the joke reviews just jump to the top.
Ooh, I like that.
So it involves you in the humor
Well,
of
because
the.
if you're looking at the reviews because you haven't purchased the game,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But now that you bought the
now
game,
you've bought the game or you've already played it or something.
Right.
that's a great
If you
idea.
go and look at the reviews, having all the memes and stuff show up is part of like a thing you should know
Yeah,
now, or
because-
that you'll get to know
Because
now.
helpful doesn't mean good or bad. Helpful just means that it's like this helped me make a decision to purchase or not purchase the
Right.
game. But if you have bought it, then it's like, well, now I want to be part of the community that's goofing around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I thought is what the community forums are for, as opposed to
Well,
the reviews.
I mean, partially.
but yeah.
The community forums are mostly for yelling at the developers, I think. But
Yeah, it's just like once you don't really need the reviews to tell you whether or not you want to buy the game
Yeah.
anymore, why not show you the more fun reviews?
Yeah.
Put those at the top.
The community forums where you yell at the developer. The reviews is where you yell about woke.
or whatever.
Depends on the game.
The this doesn't change how the review score is actually calculated, so everything's still counted.
Okay.
It's just what's being sort of displayed at the top of the list.
Yeah.
I was thinking one part of the reason why I marked this was like in terms of helpfulness of review. What about I was thinking about like the kinds of reviews that I've looked at that are not helpful. For instance, ones where if someone has because it says in the review how much playtime they have.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So somebody has like 500 hours in a game and they have like, this game is terrible.
This
I
game
hate
sucks. Not recommended. Yeah, I love those. Those are my favorite.
I feel like that should be like, that is not a helpful review.
Did you start the game and then forget you were going on vacation for a week and a half and came back and realized that you had been sitting at the start screen for 500 hours?
Rather, the other one, I don't know, maybe there should be a special system saying if it's a review of, say, Drink More Glurp,
Ah, yes.
and your complaint is that the controls don't work very well. That's not helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. If it says, I've played for 500 hours and the review is like, I couldn't get past the tutorial, that's not helpful either.
I mean, if you say for your review for Drink More Glurp that you personally find it frustrating because the controls are this specific way because this is how the game is designed, that is a helpful review, because if you find that kind of thing frustrating, you're not going to enjoy that game in the first place.
It's true.
It's true.
And really, you should just watch Loading Ready Run Stream Don't Drink More Glurp because we're really funny,
Yeah, absolutely.
and then you don't have to worry about it.
I saw some people asking about this, and I was curious too. How does Steam determine which reviews are not informative? Categorization works, this is the fact on the page. Categorization works through a mix of techniques, including user reports, Steam moderation team looking closely at a lot of reviews, and machine learning algorithms to help scale the human judgment calls. Our team has found that a lot of unhelpful reviews were easy to spot, so we're targeting those first.
That's weird too, right? Because it means that if you leave a one-word review or only like a half a sentence, kind of like a sentence fragment or whatever, and the system, because they're using machine learning to kind of get this, it's like, oh, I see there's only 6 words in this review. Then I'll mark that as not helpful automatically, right? So you kind of are getting automatically voted down a little bit because you chose not to leave a lot of information. The flip side of that is somebody who decides to leave a lot of information, for example, the script of the B movie. Then that's different.
Yeah, they probably have to have a thing right in there just for that.
I'm just picturing like, your new English assignment is, can you get your review to be really helpful on Steam?
Yeah.
We had a writing test we had to take in college. Everybody in the college had to take it, and if you failed, you had to go take a special class to take it again or whatever kind of thing. And it was pass or fail. And the biggest thing that we all took issue with was you went and you wrote it in a program, and then the program graded you. Mm-hmm. And the person who was telling us this really just wanted to tell us we had to do it to sign up for the thing. Had no idea how it worked, and we were all like, can you tell us how the computer is going to grade us on
what's it looking
imagination
for?
And all these other things?
Yeah.
No, we don't really believe the computer can do the thing that you're telling us to do.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not, we're not talking, Chat GPT levels of...
Well, I mean, Chat GPT wouldn't have been a thing when
exactly.
I went there,
so that is highly suspicious.
I mean, I watched a video last night of a tool-assisted speedrun of Brain Age for the DS, and it's fascinating to see how fast a computer can do all the Brain Age stuff. And when you watch what they're drawing on screen, you realize those aren't numbers that you're drawing on the screen. You're just swiping in a certain direction. You make a little design, and that counts as a 23.
Right.
Wow.
They figured out what the algorithm it's using to find the thing.
Yeah, and they're like, a computer doesn't have to know anything about what's going on. A computer has a way to evaluate what's going on.
I do like...
Score equals rand 1 to 100.
I do like in the FAQ on the Steam page here, it says, if you've identified a review as unhelpful, why not just delete it? And then the answer is, we found that many players want to express their opinion about a game, but don't always have the words to describe their experience or are not interested in writing very much. Their indication of whether or not they would recommend the game is still valuable data, even if they're not able to articulate why. So like the review, the number of the review and the thing is still valuable information, even if they didn't write anything useful in the text field, which is valid.
Also, because now you could also do meta reviews on top of that, because if you have to have a Steam account in order to leave a message, then your personal user score could start being evaluated on, does this person write helpful reviews? Does this person write non-helpful reviews?
That's
and then
true.
you can have meta where people are like, I need to shit on this dude, so I'm going to go mark all of his reviews that he's done on anything as not helpful no matter what.
We don't need Steam to turn into Reddit.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've been on Reddit.
Yeah. I remember Slashdot is what I remember, so yeah.
You stay away from...
I'm glad to see the old ways don't
Internet.
die.
Speaking of Valve, I cannot stress this enough. This is not an announcement of Half-Life 3.
Do people still hope for Half-Life 3 to happen?
A new company started up in the San Francisco area with the website blackmesa.com.
Okay.
The company is named... So the company's name is Black Mesa, and everyone is like, so this is like some sort of Half-Life ARG or something, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, they're saying, as much as we'd be honored to be part of any Valve game, we do not work in this sector at all. We are not secretly working on Half-Life 3.
What?
Chat, Silksong has not been out with the idea of coming out nearly as long as Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
I like this. We are not secretly working on Half-Life 3, Project White Sands, whatever that is / maybe, or any other Valve title. We are just nerds looking to secure the global bioeconomy. They're
What? They're doing what?
Secure the global bioeconomy.
The company is a company in the Boston, not San Francisco. It's the Boston area, working hard to secure vaccine and other biological manufacturing production.
I don't know what the secure part means, because usually it's like we wish to acquire it all and make it our own, versus we're looking to ensure that nothing bad can happen to the vaccine production everywhere around the world. But God.
So apparently the CEO of the company is a huge nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm glad that at least that somebody said, we've now started the company Black Mesa, inspired by the Valve game Don't Invent Black Mesa.
Yeah, Black Mesa. Yeah, it's like, they have a lot of positive connotations for people who like Half-Life.
Yeah.
I love, now apparently, if you're a big nerd, Project White Sands is like a thing that whatever the next Valve game is going to be. But out of context, I love we are definitely not working on Half-Life 3 or Project White Sands.
that sounds like something someone who is working on those things would say.
We're like, what's
everyone's
Project
like,
White Sands, Precious?
Yeah.
What?
Nobody said anything about that other thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
I mean, of course, everyone's like, but if they were working on Half-Life 3, isn't this what they would say?
Exactly.
This is why you can't tell people that you're not working on a thing. They're not going to believe you.
I mean, the thing to do really is to see what they post for job openings in their company.
Gamers definitely watch for that stuff too. Yeah,
right. So it's like, if you want to read the tea leaves, and it's like, are they looking for people who are bioengineers or microbiologists or like virologists and stuff like that, or are they looking for people who know how to code in engines? And then you'll know what they're actually up to. So yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was funny.
It's really good.
How many consoles do you have?
1, 2.
Wait, like together in the same household?
I think
or
in the
just-
same household.
Yeah, in the same
Okay.
household.
Probably over 30.
How many do you have hooked up to your TV at once?
2. To the TV.
The 2 of the TV. I've got 3 on the computer.
Would you count the Apple TV as a console? I can play video games on it.
I don't know. I don't
I
really like
wouldn't.
getting into that argument,
It's
but let's
okay.
say no.
We have 2, yeah.
So what you're saying, it's less than 444,
Yeah.
which is the guy who just won the Guinness Book of World Records for most consoles plugged into a TV.
So this
Most different consoles plugged into a
Oh.
TV.
So
Okay.
first world dude, probably lives in a rural region, so he can afford a house that's big enough or has a big enough basement for him to be able to put all 444 consoles into. Am I correct?
He's from Saudi Arabia.
Can afford a house.
Ibrahim Al Nassar. And he has what is this? After he grew up having a problem tired of having a problem that he has a massive game collection. But he didn't have to. He's like, I've got all these games, but if I want to like play one, I have to dig out the console,
Right.
figure out how to plug it into the TV,
Right.
go through all this thing. So it's like TV ports are limited. If I wanted to play, I would either unplug existing consoles or I would keep everything, add more switchers and more converters. And then the idea came to me that maybe I could connect all of them. Apparently he's got like a spreadsheet that is how to keep track. So he's got because he's got 12 HDMI switches,
Okay.
over 30 RCA switches.
Okay. But what does his cable management look like?
Oh, I hope it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks. Wait, let's
Like
see this.
It's got to have so many. He's got to have so many zippity whiz bangs.
Sorry, Wix will tell us. 1 sec.
No, Wix is terrible.
Let's look over here.
I mean, it doesn't look that different from most people who have this many consoles. They're like, oh, and then the RF modulators just kind of sitting half on top, and yeah. And it's a neat collection, but yeah, I want to see that cable routing.
Yeah, that's the thing we all really want to see.
Yeah, all these pictures is like we know
Sure,
what a lot of
yeah.
gaming consoles look like. Congratulations.
So he's got them all. Oh, he's got little stacks. Okay, the towers.
stands for-
The
yeah,
towers
okay,
of controllers are
makes sense.
pretty great.
It's kind
I
of
don't
great.
know if I would count a keyboard as a
As good
console.
as old word processors, all his old Atari. Oh, you know, right? It's I was like, how many goddamn consoles? They never made 444 consoles. Actually, they probably did if you include TV at home games. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's got a bunch of these big HDMI switches. I like it. His TV says no signal. Oh, here's his big spreadsheet of how to find out all
On
this
his
stuff.
30-inch wide curved monitor. Yeah. I mean, so this is all.
He's
very
not
well
doing
and
too
good.
bad in
No.
terms of in terms of size of house and size of collection.
That's pretty good.
What do we have hooked up to the TV?
We have the Switch, and we have the
Switch
Wii
and
U.
Wii U?
Yeah.
How much time does he have to spend updating like anything 360 and newer? Like every time you boot it up, he's probably
Also-
gonna have to go through have to download like 10 gigs worth of updates.
The vampire power from having them all in soft off is got to be at least as much as an oven. It's got to be. There has to be really good AC in there to kind of keep the air circulating.
I mean,
'cause-
I get that it can be kind of a pain to pull out an old console to play some games and stuff, but like, how many games are you playing that you need to constantly have them all plugged in?
yeah.
To be swapping that often, like.
And it sounds like one of these things where he was like, "Hey, I could plug in, a bunch of these."
Yeah.
And then but if I plugged in all of these, it would be a Guinness Book of World Record.
And you can get whatever record you want.
You can buy those.
As long as it's the most of something, you can just have it.
In fact,
Like, I
they
feel
make
like
up new
this-
ones for you.
I feel like this is not something that would happen if Guinness was not there looking.
Yeah,
But-
that's fair. I mean, even just the idea of, though I can totally believe the thing of even me doing it in secret is a wonderful thing. And I can look at it and nod my head and be like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. He's duplicating a lot of stuff by being like, there's 30 different Game Boys, as we saw Hosk point out. And it's like, yeah, it's not the same as like I have a Game Boy hooked up. It's like I have all 30 of my Game Boys hooked up in a way, but
You don't really hook up a Game Boy to the TV usually.
unless you have some sort of like device that could export it as HDMI, which means they'd all have to be modded. Oh my god, that would be terrible.
Well, modded or
Or Super Game Boy.
you'd
Yeah.
have to use Super Game Boy or something.
Which
You
means
wouldn't
he would need a Super Nintendo with a Super Game Boy for to stand in for every Game Boy he owns. I still think it counts.
At a certain point, it's like maybe it's just he doesn't like switching cartridges. It's just like I need a Game Boy for every
goodness.
game I want to play.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
Anyway,
Sure.
I thought that was fun.
That's cool.
There's a lot of things to control. I especially like the towers of controllers.
The controller tower is pretty good.
That's really good.
Was it Sakurai who had in his cabinet he had wall mountings for his controllers?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I really like the look of that.
He built a custom cabinet to keep all of his consoles in that he likes, like consoles that he likes to have circulating on the regular, like ones that he's like, I want to be able to play this one. And he doesn't have like dozens, except that in the video where he talks about
he's got the
this,
setup in two different locations.
he
in
has
his
the
house.
exact same setup in two different spots in his house, right? He's got one in his office, and so he had two cabinets built identically, and he has the same loadout of stuff in each one. So he can either choose to play in his living room or choose to play in his office.
Nice.
And so it's like, I have a PS5 in here, so I'll play it in here. And it's like, well, actually, I want to play in the other room, which I
You have
guess.
to buy 2 copies every game then?
Well, that's what I wonder.
Well,
I'm like, if you're logged into both, you could download to both if you're
Yeah, you
downloading.
can.
Like, okay,
Like
then-
on
yeah.
a more modern console, you can have multiples, and you can have your profile doing that.
Yeah, it's interesting when you see the cabinet too, because it is very much 1980s stereo cabinet aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
Yeah.
I was like, that looks really dated. Like I thought you'd come with something a little sleeker, but
I
it's like
kind of like the fact that he went with something.
it's just this
dated
big
looking.
brown veneer tower sitting
Yeah.
next to his black like monoliths,
Well,
and I'm like, it's so weird.
It's different from what you see everybody else doing with their glass shelving.
It's true. Yeah. I don't think I'd like to. And the thing is, I agree. I don't think I'd like to have all of my shit on display like in the glass shelving towers or whatever next to it. I like we have a cabinet at home. Our entertainment cabinet is like dark walnut. It probably came from IKEA, I think, but it's like this dark brown that everything, all the black things are kind of shoved into it, and mostly it all disappears. And I try to keep all the anything that's white or bright out of the way because I don't want to have to see it. So I get it. It's like, yeah, you want to disguise a lot of this stuff a lot of the time.
Anyway, that's the last bit of news I had marked this week. But thanks everybody for joining us. And remember that if you haven't seen it already, you should check out the episode of ChillPoint. It's up on our YouTube channel. Or if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, it's probably somewhere near this video on the sidebar or something. If you if you have other sources for video game news, throw them in my direction. I'm always interested in that. Yeah.
You can always support us by going to the Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. And on Twitch, we're going to welcome people in a minute. And then the store at store.loadingreadyrun.com. But also become a member of this channel that you're seeing this on YouTube, or any of the other channels that we have.
There's so many ways you can just give us money if you want to. And if not, watching things, telling your friends,
Yeah. Come up with some ways to give us money if you want to. You can send us money to PayPal. We'll figure out a way to do that. But yeah, those are ways to do it.
Anyway, thanks everybody, and we will talk to y'all later. Bye.